So thank you for the synopsis, Larry, because
Yeah, that was helpful.
yeah, I forgot.
Oh, good, because it's like
It's
you will get lost in this.
it's such a strange.
It does have a kind of, not logic, but it has a kind of organization with
Yeah.
seals, trumpets, woes, and
I
but
don't think I had any idea the Book of Revelation was like this. I've only knew a few snippets that are in the lectionary. So
yeah, and they're beautiful snippets, and
Yeah.
we will get to those parts. But have you ever read the Book of Daniel?
Parts of it, yes, again, because we taught it in Sunday school.
Yeah, because there's the lion's den parts and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then there's stuff in it that is like this. And it is a little bit crazy. Hi, Deb.
Hello.
Hi. And I was thinking about this book. I read a little bit about it. I mean, truly a little bit. And first of all, it's apocalyptic, which means it's a little bit crazy and sci-fi. All right.
So the person I just want to ask this. The person who wrote this grew up as a is a Jew, right? So
they think so. Yes.
He would have had the Book of Daniel in his.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Good point. They think that the person who wrote this, or most of it, was a Hebrew speaker. They say a lot of the Greek has Hebrewisms in it.
Oh, okay.
Hebraisms.
Hebraism.
Yeah, but they also think that it was not written by one person.
Oh.
Okay. That it is an accumulation of texts. Okay. And this is just a little bit I read. Okay.
Yeah, I haven't really looked at, I have all this Bible stuff.
Yeah.
Kind of.
And they think some of it, they think it was written during persecution. All right.
Mm-hmm.
And apparently the two big persecutions were in the first century, from what I read, are Nero's persecution, which is really well documented. There truly was a persecution. And that occurred before the destruction of the temple in Jerusalem in 70. And some people think part of it was written later during the persecution of the Emperor Domitian. Right. And that persecution is actually not as well documented as Nero's persecution. So a lot of it is just what people think.
Well, and the plagues are reminiscent of the plagues that were visited upon the Egyptians, right?
Well, I was trying to figure that out. And yes, there's locusts. That's the one I did see, locusts. And then we read about these, I call them the dragon horses. I mean, it truly is a crazy book. Yeah. Okay. And I'm thinking, well, why do we read it? I mean, because, there should be, I don't know, something instructive for us. Is that what I'm trying to say? And there's, when Linda and I talked about it, there's this thing that pervades a lot of the New Testament, and that is you have to endure.
Right. Yeah.
And these people had to endure because obviously people were biased against them, and people persecuted them. A lot of Jewish communities hated them. We see all this in like Paul's letters and in Acts even. And so there's the issue of endurance. And then I think, well, how does that work? And I say, well, we're kind of going through a period of endurance because the church is this is just me talking now, okay? Because the church seems weaker than it used to be.
Yeah.
And we at, let's say we at St. Albans are enduring this period, all right? And we are as weak, let's say, as the Christians of the first century were. Well, we're not that weak, but we're as weak. We're kind of weak. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, that's my concept. I haven't read that anywhere.
Yeah.
And then there's the issue in Revelation of this is revealing the end of the world and the triumph of the Lamb. Okay. And so this is me again. This book encourages hope because at the end of the book, there's these beautiful chapters on God's kingdom and sort of the restoration of the Garden of Eden, and those sort of beautiful. I don't know whether that'll ever happen, but at least they're beautiful visions. Okay.
As opposed to what we're reading about right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But what we're reading now are also visions. The guy doesn't say, hey, this is true. He says, this is my vision. All right. And that's one of the things about apocalyptic literature is people have visions and then you interpret them
Hi, Barbara.
kind as you feel is the right way to interpret them. It's a hard sort of literature to read, I think, because it's hard. And when you read it the first time, like me, it's a little bit like walking through a swamp, and you have to watch where you put your feet, and there's all that, and the mud is sucking at you, and the whole thing. And there we are. Okay.
Yeah.
But we will endure. We will endure. And there's 21 chapters, and the ending chapters are the beautiful vision of the New Jerusalem.
Okay.
Also in vision, all right? And that's like our hope. So what do you say we start, huh?
Let's do it.
Okay, great. I can't remember, we did read chapter 10.
Oh, we didn't?
We did, but because I think Sandy went on to read it because it was a short chapter. But I think we'll pick up on it again because it doesn't hurt to get a running start in this book.
What book are we in?
Revelation.
Revelations chapter 10. Okay, thanks.
Yeah. And remember, we just had the sixth angel blow his trumpet. And if you look at my letter to you guys, I tried to outline the trumpeters.
Already read.
Okay. Yeah. So 10, we're actually between the sixth trumpet and the seventh trumpet. Okay. And I saw another mighty angel coming down from heaven, wrapped in a cloud with a rainbow over his head. His face was like the sun, and his legs like pillars of fire. He held a little scroll open in his hand. Setting his right foot on the sea and his left foot on the land, he gave a great shout, like a lion roaring. And when he shouted, the seven thunders sounded. And when the seven thunders had sounded, I was about to write. But I heard a voice from heaven saying, seal up what the seven thunders have said and do not write it down. Then the angel whom I saw standing on the sea and the land raised his right hand to heaven and swore by him who lives forever and ever, who created heaven and what is in it, the earth and what is in it, and the sea and what is in it. There will be no more delay, but the days when the seventh angel is to blow his trumpet, the mystery of God will be fulfilled, as he announced to his servants, the prophets. Then the voice that I had heard from heaven spoke to me again, saying, "Go, take the scroll that is open in the hand of the angel who is standing on the sea and on the land." So I went to the angel and told him to give me the little scroll. And he said to me, "Take it and eat it. It will be bitter to your stomach, but sweet as honey in your mouth." So I took the little scroll from the hand of the angel and ate it. It was sweet as honey in my mouth, but when I had eaten it, my stomach was made bitter. Then they said to me, "You must prophesy again about many peoples and nations and languages and kings." If I may put in a footnote, it's like eating the little scroll gives this narrator his commission to prophesy and maybe to write this book. Chapter 11. Then I was given a measuring rod like a staff, and I was told, "Come and measure the temple of God and the altar and those who worship there, but do not measure the court outside the temple. Leave that out, for it is given over to the nations, and they will trample over the holy city for 42 months. And I will grant my 2 witnesses authority to prophesy for 1,260 days, wearing sackcloth." Footnote, and indeed the nations did trample down the temple in 70 AD. We'll continue. These are the 2 olive trees and the 2 lampstands that stand before the Lord of the earth. And if anyone wants to harm them, fire pours from their mouth and consumes their foes. Anyone who wants to harm them must be killed in this manner. They have authority to shut the sky so that no rain may fall during the days of their prophesying. And they have authority over the waters to turn them into blood and to strike the earth with every kind of plague as often as they desire. When they have finished their testimony, the beast that comes up from the bottomless pit will make war on them and conquer them and kill them. And their dead bodies will lie in the street of the great city that is prophetically called Sodom and Egypt, where also their Lord was crucified. For 3.5 days, members of the peoples and tribes and languages and nations will gaze at their dead bodies and refuse to let them be placed in a tomb. And the inhabitants of the earth will gloat over them and celebrate and exchange presents, because these 2 prophets have been a torment to the inhabitants of the earth. But after the 3.5 days, the breath of life from God entered them, and they stood on their feet. And those who saw them were terrified. Then they heard a loud voice from heaven saying to them, "Come up here." And they went up to heaven in a cloud while their enemies watched them. At that moment, there was a great earthquake, and a tenth of the city fell. 7,000 people were killed in the earthquake, and the rest were terrified and gave glory to the God of heaven. The second woe has passed. The third woe is coming very soon. Footnote, in my outline, I mentioned the woes, but I think I mixed them up, so I'll redo that part. Then the seventh angel blew his trumpet, and there were loud voices in heaven saying, "The kingdom of the world has become the kingdom of our Lord and of his Messiah, and he will reign forever and ever." Then the 24 elders who sit on their thrones before God fell on their faces and worshiped God, singing, "We give you thanks, Lord God Almighty, who are and who were, for you have taken your great power and begun to reign. The nations raged, but your wrath has come, and the time for judging the dead, for rewarding your servants, the prophets and saints, and all who fear your name, both small and great, and for destroying those who destroy the earth." Then God's temple in heaven was opened, and the ark of his covenant was seen within his temple. And there were flashes of lightning, rumblings, peals of thunder, an earthquake, and heavy hail. A great portent appeared in heaven, a woman clothed with the sun, with the moon under her feet, and on her head a crown of 12 stars. She was pregnant and was crying out in birth pangs in the agony of giving birth. Then another portent appeared in heaven, a great red dragon with 7 heads and 10 horns and 7 diadems on his heads. His tail swept down a third of the stars of heaven and threw them to the earth. Then the dragon stood before the woman who was about to bear a child, so that he might devour her child as soon as it was born. And she gave birth to a son, a male child, who is to rule all the nations with a rod of iron. But her child was snatched away and taken to God and to his throne. And the woman fled into the wilderness, where she has a place prepared by God, so that there she can be nourished for 1,260 days. Now war broke out in heaven. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon. The dragon and his angels fought back, but they were defeated. And there was no longer any place for them in heaven. The great dragon was thrown down, that ancient serpent, who is called the devil and Satan, the deceiver of the whole world. He was thrown down to the earth, and his angels were thrown down with him. Then I heard a loud voice in heaven proclaiming, "Now have come the salvation and the power and the kingdom of our God and the authority of his Messiah. For the accuser of our comrades has been thrown down, who accuses them day and night before our God. But they have conquered him by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of their testimony. For they did not cling to life, even in the face of death. Rejoice then, you heavens, and those who dwell in them. But woe to the earth and the sea, for the devil has come down to you with great wrath, because he knows that his time is short. Footnote, I think this little section goes backwards in time to way before, because it talks about the fall of the devil from heaven. So when the dragon saw that he had been thrown down to the earth, he pursued the woman who had given birth to the male child. But the woman was given the two wings of the great eagle so that she could fly from the serpent into the wilderness to her place, where she is nourished for a time and times and half a time. Then from his mouth, the serpent poured water like a river after the woman to sweep her away with the flood. But the earth came to the help of the woman. It opened its mouth and swallowed the river that the dragon had poured from his mouth. Then the dragon was angry with the woman and went off to make war on the rest of her children, those who keep the commandments of God and hold the testimony of Jesus. Then the dragon took a stand on the sand of the seashore, and I saw a beast rising out of the sea, having 10 horns and 7 heads. And on its horns were 10 diadems, and on its heads were blasphemous names. And the beast that I saw was like a leopard. Its feet were like a bear's, and its mouth was like a lion's mouth. And the dragon gave it his power and his throne and great authority. One of its heads seemed to have received a death blow, but its mortal wound had been healed. In amazement, the whole earth followed the beast. They worshipped the dragon, for he had given his authority to the beast. And they worshipped the beast, saying, "Who is like the beast, and who can fight against us?" It. The beast was given a mouth uttering haughty and blasphemous words, and it was allowed to exercise authority for 42 months. It opened its mouth to utter blasphemies against God, blaspheming his name and his dwelling, that is, those who dwell in heaven. Also, it was allowed to make war on the saints and to conquer them. It was given authority over every tribe and people and language and nation. And all the inhabitants of the earth will worship it. Everyone whose name has not been written from the foundation of the world in the book of life of the Lamb that was slaughtered. Let anyone who has an ear listen. If you are to be taken captive, into captivity you go. If you kill with the sword you must be killed. Here is a call for the endurance and faith of the saints. Then I saw another beast that rose out of the earth. It had 2 horns like a lamb, and it spoke like a dragon. It exercises all the authority of the first beast on its behalf, and it makes the earth and its inhabitants worship the first beast, whose mortal wound had been healed. It performs great signs, even making fire come down from heaven to earth in the sight of all. And by the signs that it is allowed to perform on behalf of the beast, it deceives the inhabitants of earth, telling them to make an image for the beast that had been wounded by the sword and yet lived. And it was allowed to give breath to the image of the beast, so that the image of the beast could even speak and cause those who would not worship the image of the beast to be killed. Also, it causes all, both small and great, both rich and poor, both free and slave, to be marked on the right hand or the forehead, so that no one can buy or sell who does not have that mark. That is the name of the beast, or the number of its name. This calls for wisdom. Let anyone with understanding calculate the number of the beast, for it is the number of a person. Its number is 666.
You know, in this, there's a footnote here that
Yes.
likens the beast with the mortal wound to Nero.
Yeah. Yes.
Yes, because
There's
Nero,
something about it. The
Nero
spelling
was-
of it. Yeah.
yeah, he was mortally wounded, but he returned. I mean, there's the legend is that he returned from the dead.
Ugh. It's quite a those are the chapters we laid out, right? I think
Yeah.
for tonight. Yeah. And I think we as I read them, I think we've jumped from the kind of end of the world apocalypse to the present times kind of apocalypse, with, the beast being Satan and the beast being Lucifer, who revolted against God in heaven and then was kicked out. So I have a think. I think that with chapter 14, we're going to go back to the end of the world apocalypse.
Okay.
Yeah. You could see how some people say that this has more than one author. Revelation.
Well,
Yeah.
it's repetitive in some ways.
Yeah. And it's illogical in some ways. Anyway.
When you were talking about the dragon opening up the earth, or the earth opened in the river, and blah, it reminded me a little bit of the old sci-fi movies with Godzilla and Mothra and all that.
It is there is a kind of highly imaginative quality to these things.
The book of Revelation would make a great graphic novel. I mean, a great graphic.
We should check whether somebody already did that.
The imagery is incredible.
It's incredible. Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of disturbing, but
yeah,
it's
sometimes I think when I was going through this, is you can't read this the same way you read Paul's letters.
No.
You read it as a kind of succession of images that have an emotional effect on the person listening to the vision. All right. So in a way, it is kind of a little bit well, not like a coloring book, but you know, the images have distinct properties outside of we always look for story is what I'm trying to say. And it's hard to find story in this book. Am I making sense here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
But
not a story so much as I'm not sure what the word I want is. It's like a bunch of separate images. Each chapter has kind of a.
it's kind of
I don't know what the word I want is, but it's not. There's no story to speak of.
I'm sure there are like a zillion books on Revelation, and sorry, I am not going to read them.
There does appear to be at least one graphic novel.
Oh, really?
Oh, all right.
And
And
Blake made a lot of pictures
Yeah.
inspired by Revelation.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I expect so.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm sure I would never have read it on my own, Larry, so I'm glad we're doing this.
Yeah. Well, I want to tell you, we owe it to Sandy. Sandy really wanted to read Revelation.
It's because we never do.
Because we never do. And I sort of kicked back and finally finally we're reading it. Yeah.
Most of the clergy that we've talked to don't understand why we're doing it. Linda was like, "Why are you reading Revelation?"
Who said that?
Linda. I don't think she thought it was such a good idea. And
Linda I talked to Linda about it, and I said, well, we're reading Revelation. And I said it's a little bit nutty. But I said I think it's the book of hope in a way that things are going to end up okay, because they do end up okay at the end of the book. And she says, well, I think it's a book about endurance, about managing to live through bad times.
Well, that's something we need to revel for that reason.
Yeah. I think the problem for us is that it's a form of literature. You know, there's sonnets and there's essays and there's novels and stuff. But this is a form of literature we don't have anymore. Mm-hmm. You know, apocalyptic literature. And so I think it's hard for us. You know what? Anyway, we are going to finish this. Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
And there's beautiful images at the end. You know, they will really balance the beast. Okay.
And Barbara, Larry's email about what we've read already is really helpful for you to catch up, you know, and figure out what was going before chapter 10, you know.
Yeah, I summarized a lot of, you know how I love to outline things, Barbara. So I sort of did an outline in that email. Yeah. That's preparatory to doing the definitive work on Revelation, right?
That's great. Thank you.
Yeah, sure. Anyway, so we'll plow along, huh?
Thank
you.
And I guess we'll go through. Well, I haven't looked at this very closely yet. I think we might go through chapter 18 the next time. Okay. Because that is the last chapter of like bad stuff, like earthquakes and, you know, blood falling from heaven and stuff like that. And I think chapter 19 begins the sort of the part
rejoicing in heaven.
It's sort of the exaltation part of Revelation.
Okay, so 14 through 18.
I think that's what we're going to do. I haven't looked at it very closely, but I think it'll work out.
Okay.
Well, there you go. So we'll have 2 more sessions on Revelation. Okay. Because
Okay.
I think then we'll finish the book.
All right,
And
yeah,
then,
it'd be nice to have it over with before Advent.
Mhm.
So
yeah, and then
That,
it will sort of what's the word? Mature, percolate in our minds. Okay. Because our main purpose is to read the book. I
Should
guess
Can we read Daniel after this?
no.
So how
Maybe
do
a
you really
little
feel?
later. What do I really think? Yeah. At some point maybe we'll read Daniel, but it is, and it'll be it. Yeah,
I was actually.
you were joking. Yeah, I know. But Daniel does have a story.
Oh yeah, the story of Daniel the Lion's Den. We
It's a
acted
good
it out.
story. Yeah.
When I was taught Sunday school at St. Mark's, we acted out the Daniel and the Lion's Den. I've never forgotten it.
That's pretty cool. Yeah.
They loved it.
Yeah. Which is the book with the fiery furnace? Do you remember Shadrach, Meshach,
Shadrach, Meshach,
Meshach
and
and
Abednego.
Abednego?
Yeah, that was another.
Is that Daniel also? Is that in Daniel also?
The kids had a great song, remember?
Yes, there was a good song. Shadrach, Meshach.
I think it is Daniel. I'm not sure.
It happened a long time ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so there we are. So
All right.
we're having a little fun. We're having a little fun with this. I'm glad to see we're laughing. But also, let's think about what we want to read next, because it's Advent.